thing I'm starting on my channel, and it's gonna be reviews of stuff. The first episode, I'm gonna be reviewing Endgame. I don't have a script. I'm just gonna talk about Endgame, my favorite moments. There will be spoilers in this, so I hope you enjoy. So yeah, I thought Endgame started well because we knew Hawkeye was still alive, like he survived the snap, but we didn't know where he was during the snap. So, and we also knew he was going to become Ronin, which then he later turned around and just was Hawkeye again. But I'll get into that. It started perfectly with him and his family, all outside, and then the Marvel screen pops up, and we get to notice, or know where Iron Man, Tony and Nebula are, which was shown in trailers. The whole Tony giving the speech to, speaking to the helmet, to his Iron Man helmet, and yeah. Then, also, one quick thing, you don't need to know, or you don't need to, watch Captain Marvel when going into Endgame. I mean, I didn't. But, the way Tony and Nebula get back to Earth, because they're the ship they're on, which is the Guardians ship. I forget what it's named, but yeah, it's out of fuel and supplies are running low. So Captain Marvel shows up, carries the ship all the way back to Earth, and Tony and Cap have this argument where I really enjoyed it, because Tony's to Cap, you weren't there. You said we were gonna fight Thanos together. That didn't happen. We lost. And then, Cap doesn't really have a rebuttal towards that. And Cap, Iron Man, Thor, I think Black Widow was there, but yeah, they all go. They're all looking for Stones, and because they're also, and through that they're also looking for Thanos. So a blip, like unnoticed, happens, and it said the stones were activated. So they go to the planet where Thanos has his farm, because he's now a farmer, because he's just relaxing, because half of the universe's population is gone. It turns out the blip that the Avengers noticed was him using the time stones or using the Infinity Stones to destroy the Infinity Stones, and it took a lot out of him, because his just entire left arm is trashed. Another thing that you'll see later on in the movie with one of the Avengers. So, yeah, he's weak. He's really weak, and the Avengers confront him, of course, and long story short, Thor just chops Thanos' head off, which was insane. Everyone was going crazy, because Thor actually aimed for the head. Then, after that, the movie jumps 5 years into the future, where Cap, Black Widow, Cap and Black Widow are talking about how, we need to fix this. And they also realize that they can't do anything, because the Infinity Stones are destroyed. So, yeah. So, at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man gets trapped in the quantum realm, thus surviving the snap, because at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the end credit scene was him going into the quantum realm, and right before the snap, and he can't, he couldn't get out of the quantum realm, because Hank Pym, Hank's wife, which I forgot her name, and the Wasp are dusted. That's a big moment, because right after the Cap Black Widow scene, it jumps to the Ant-Man van in a storage facility, and turns out a rat, like, stepped on the controls for the time portal, the quantum realm portal, and thus releasing Scott from the quantum realm. He then gets out of the storage facility and notices everyone's gone, except he then, like, goes to a memorial, like, area, finds out everyone thinks he's dead, then goes to his house to see if his daughter survived, and yeah, she did. She's one of the few to survive the snap. And then, because of Civil War stuff, he realizes, oh, I don't know, why not go to the Avengers compound in New York and see if they survived too. And then it turns out they did. So, and he doesn't know anything about the Infinity Stones or much of any, like, much, if not anything of what happened in Infinity War. So, like, Cap and Black Widow tell him. Oh yeah, but also another big thing is throughout the 5-year time gap, Bruce and Hulk got gamma, like, radiation and combined themselves, which isn't. Bruce is now basically Hulk with his brain, and he isn't, like, he's, like, probably 8 feet tall. So yeah, Hulk and Bruce reconciled and got gamma radiation to, like, fix, because the big thing was that Hulk and Bruce both got defeated by Thanos, and thus realizing that, like, they both lost, gave them something in common, thus allowing them to merge into what is called Professor Hulk in the comics. And oh yeah, Rocket's there too, because he's the one Guardian that survived, which basically two, but one actually, like, surviving, because technically Groot did survive through Stormbreaker, Thor's hammer, because Groot helped him find a, handle for, yeah. And so Rocket and Hulk, or Bruce, go to what is called New Asgard, which I think is Norway or Sweden. It's basically the, everyone from Ragnarok, because Ragnarok was, because of the events of Ragnarok, Asgard's gone, so they created New Asgard, and Thor, also because of the effects of, the guilt of the whole chopping Thanos' head off thing, it seemed like it was taxing on him. He gained a bit of weight, and so, yeah, Hulk and Rocket went to New Asgard to convince Hulk to come to the Avengers compound to help find a way to get, through the whole Ant-Man, talk, he was like, maybe time travel works. Cause, you guys went through 5 years, but it was 5 days for me, or 5 hours for me in the quantum realm. So, maybe if we find out a way to go back in time to get the time stones, or the Infinity Stones, and maybe we can create an Infinity Gauntlet of, or by ourselves, and undo everything that Thanos did. Well, so they're they're heading to see Tony and Pepper, and surprise, he is a kid. That doesn't really, the whole Cap, Scott, Black Widow, Iron Man talk doesn't really pan out. Tony's like, I have a kid, I don't want to lose everything I gained in this. Yeah, we lost a lot, but we also, through the 5 years, gained a lot. If that makes total sense. And so, yeah. They end up going back to New York. Cap, Black Widow, and Ant-Man. And, this is also Rocket and Hulk are talking to Thor. And Rocket and Hulk convince Thor to come back. Time passes a day, I think. dishes, he sees a picture of him and Peter, and something clicks in his mind, like, maybe this could work. And then he runs a simulation, and the simulation works, like, is successful. So he drives to the Avengers compound, and yeah. One high point of this movie, it's like, actually, like, I just thought it, like, it was cool. Thor's, like, character design and stuff in this movie, like, his beard and stuff, his beard, especially, is amazing in this movie. And, yeah. So that's not really story. But, like, yeah. And turns out a reason why Cap didn't have a shield in Infinity War was that Tony had it, and Tony gives Cap his shield back, which also is a like, massive part of the end of the movie. So, like, yeah, they actually realize that there are 3 Infinity Stones. Like, they're going to go with the time travel thing, the time travel plan, because even though it's risky, through the simulations and stuff, it has worked. And like, each of them only has enough Pym particles, which are the way Ant-Man, like, shrinks down and goes through the future, and yeah, they only have enough for a total of a round trip each, which is from the like, future back to the past, and then immediately back to the point where they are now. And yeah, they realize that 3 time stones, or 3 Infinity Stones. Whenever I say time stones, just think Infinity Stones. I don't know why I'm saying time stones, but yeah, they realize that 3 Infinity Stones are in New York during the Battle of New York, aka the middle of the first Avengers movie. So that was cool. They go back to New York. The time stone, the space stone, and I think the Power Stone are the 3 in New York. The Time Stone, of course, with the Sorcerer Supreme. And the Space Stone in Rhodey's staff. So yeah, Ant-Man, Hulk, Tony and Cap go to New York. Well, wait, no, it isn't the Power Stone, because the Power Stone's in the... It isn't the Power Stone, because the Power Stone's the stone Star-Lord gets at the beginning of Guardians Volume 1, which is also a place where they adventure to. Like, Rhodey and Nebula get the Power Stone, and the last one, the last two are the Soul Stone and the Ether, which, surprisingly, the two without any superpowers go to get the Soul Stone. And that leaves Thor and Rocket to go back to Dark World to then get the Ether out of Jane Foster, because at the end of, in the middle of Dark World, Thor then finds, he finds his mom and has a really, really good conversation with his mom, saying his mom's basically, you do you. Don't think you have to be someone that you're not. Through that, he gets the Rocket's the one who extracts the Ether from Jane Foster. A chase happens, or Rocket's getting chased by the guards, the Asgardian guards, and probably the second biggest thing is that Thor gets his hammer back, Mjolnir, or however you say it, and so he currently has Stormbreaker and Mjolnir. Another big thing happens with his hammer. So, that leaves the last stone, or the last two. I'm going to talk about the Soul Stone last, because it's really a big moment. So, Nebula and, the last two stones are kind of big too, or equally big, because probably the worst decision they made was having Nebula go with Rhodey to a time period where because, like, where Nebula from the past was, because that just messes Nebula, like, future Nebula up with, yeah. I mean, they didn't actually know if she did talk to each other. They did talk to each other. But, yeah. That leads to the second, or the final part of the movie. So, yeah. Nebula and Rhodey get the Power Stone. Through, like, my favorite part of the movie was the one I'm talking about right now, which is, like, during Nebula and Rhodey have to, like, stake out almost and wait for Peter Quill to get the Power Stone, or lead them to the Power Stone. So the whole, like, intro moment from Guardians 1, like the first scene from Guardians 1, is reenacted. And Guardians 1 and 2 are, like, two of my favorite, if not, yeah, 1 and 2 on my, like, list of MCU movies. 3 has to be Ragnarok, and 4, I would say, yeah, Endgame's number 4. But yeah, I was just super happy, because that's one of the best scenes in my eyes. It's probably not one of the, like, greatest scenes of all time, but, like, yeah, so Nebula, because her, like, she is a metal arm, because she's technically a robot cyborg thing. She grabs the like, Power Stone, or the thing the Power Stone's in, because there's, like, a force field and stuff. So yeah, hands it to Rhodey. They're planning on, like, going back to the Avengers compound in 2023. Or, 2023. Because it's 5 years in the future. Or 2024. Wait, no. It's either 2023 or 2024. So, yeah. Rhodey gets out. But, yeah. Nebula gets, like, kinda wrecked. Almost. Turns out, and, like, gets beamed up by Thanos. Conversation between Thanos and the two Nebulas and Gamora from 2014 happened. The 2014 version of Nebula comes back, or goes forward into the future as, like, kind of disguising herself as future Nebula. And yeah. But yeah, everyone returns to also during the Battle of New York, there was a pretty cool scene where Captain America, or Cap from the future, fought Cap from the past. And yeah. Cap, also another huge thing, the Space Stone. Wait, no, yeah, it was the Space Stone. The Space Stone went while Tony was getting Tony grabbed the Space Stone from Tony grabbed the Space Stone that was in a box, like a briefcase. But then, because they didn't really plan this out really well, because Hulk from the past had to walk down the stairs through, to the first floor of Avengers Tower. And while Tony was kind of eating with the Space Stone, Hulk just busts through the first floor door to the stairway, and Tony just gets massively wrecked. And the Space Stone gets, slides to Loki. Loki picks it up, and then it just goes. He disappears. So they have to get the Time Stone, the Space Stone back. And so Cap and Tony go to, it seems like the 70s, it might be the 60s, where the compound fort that Cap was created in. And Tony grabs the Time Stone, or the Space Stone. He meets his, he has a talk with his dad about being a father, which I thought was really cool. And then, so yeah, everything succeeds. They get back to the Avengers compound in 2023, and yeah, so they proceed to make the Infinity Gauntlet, but not the Infinity Gauntlet. They decide to make an Iron Man-esque, an Iron Man fist Infinity Gauntlet, which is also a big point in the movie. So they succeed. They wonder who is gonna wield it. Thor's let me do it. I have enough power, and he might, but might not. ultimately Hulk was the one to like put the, because he thinks that, I mean, it's a solid statement. He says that like the Infinity Gauntlet that they built was made with gamma radiation, which it was, and so was he. He put himself through gamma radiation. Ultimately, the whole Planet Hulk, or no, the whole Professor Hulk thing. So yeah, that happens, and yeah, he snaps. Oh, I forgot to talk about the Soul Stone. Yeah. So Hawkeye and Black Widow are the two that go get the Soul Stone. And the way the Soul Stone works is that you have to lose something you love in order to like possess the Soul Stone. And they, going into this, like, they probably ultimately didn't know this, but they were like best friends, like Hawkeye and Black Widow best friends, and Black Widow, like, the only thing she had was the Avengers. They were her family, while Clint, aka Hawkeye, aka Ronan, he had his wife, his 3 kids. They thought, like, Black Widow and Hawkeye fought, and ultimately, which I didn't think was like a massive thing, but Black Widow ends up dying. People were like, why wasn't it Hawkeye? And yeah, so yeah, that Hawkeye then gets the Soul Stone, and yeah. So back to the task at hand. Hulk snaps, gets everyone back. He tries to get Black Widow back, but that just doesn't work. And the massive like plot point with the whole Nebula thing, Nebula like, because it's 2014 Nebula, not future Nebula, brings Thanos and his ship and his disciples back, or to the future, and somebody probably should have noticed that Nebula wasn't with them during the whole who's gonna be the one to snap. Oh yeah, also Hulk like just completely injured his hand, his like entire arm while doing the snap, and the Russo brothers said it was permanent, so that's also kind of sad. Somebody probably should have noticed that Nebula wasn't there, but they didn't. So yeah, going into the final act. The Avengers... Thanos destroys the Avengers compound. Like, Hawkeye... There's this whole, like, sequence where they're trying to find the Infinity Gauntlet. The Infinity Gauntlet 2.0, I'm gonna call it. Yeah. So there's this whole sequence where they're trying to find it. Hawkeye finds it, runs around. Cap, turns out he was worthy to wield Mjolnir. They completely, like, start wailing on Thanos. Because, yeah, Thanos comes down from his ship and through... So, Doctor, like, during there's, like, portals start appearing. Oh, yeah. Before I say this, Thor and Cap have this, like, funny scene where they like, Cap grabs Stormbreaker, or Stormbreaker lands in Cap's hand, and Mjolnir lands in Thor's, and Thor's like, give that back to me, you can have the smaller one. And yeah, Thor gets Stormbreaker back, and Mjolnir lands in Cap's hand. So, at the end, we thought all was lost. But then, Doctor Strange portals... Wait, no. As it's just Cap, like, staring probably 50 yards apart from Thanos. He just stares and says Avengers, and then Doctor Strange portals start, like, the Doctor Strange circle portals start like appearing, and then he says assemble, and everyone that got snapped, like every Avenger, including Howard the Duck, which everyone who got snapped, including like Pepper and yeah, because Hulk snapped, he fixed the whole half of the universe's populations and stuff. So yeah, and then he says assemble, and then there's this massive, like, second best scene in the movie where everyone just is fighting. And then there's this like really cool scene with like Groot and Rocket. There's also this, like, the whole like last 15 minutes of the movie is amazing. I don't know why if you haven't seen this, go see it. I don't know why you're watching this if you haven't seen it. So, a big thing was, where is Captain Marvel? Because she disappeared like 15 minutes into the movie. She reappears, kind of dive bombs through Thanos' ship and destroys it. You know how I said that the Infinity Gauntlet 2.0 being part of, like, being Iron Man tech really mattered, and it was a big plot point. So when Thanos eventually gets it, he goes to snap his fingers. He says, You may be the Avengers, but I am inevitable. He goes and snaps his fingers. He snaps. He realizes it didn't work because all of the Infinity Stones are gone. While Tony just, cause the gauntlet's made of Iron Man tech, I'm gonna call them microbots, moved to Tony's, like, hand, like each of the Infinity Stones. He kind of defeats the inevitable thing with an Iron Man, and then snaps his fingers, and like Thanos is dusted. Every last part of Thanos' army is dusted. Oh yeah, and I know that there was a massive, like, where's this part? it was, the whole, like, fight scene was hard to explain. So, yeah. He snaps, Iron Man snaps his fingers. Thanos is dusted. His entire army's dusted. And he then falls down to the ground. Well, he's like sitting down next to like a piece of rubble, surrounded by, guess what? Which I thought this was really cool too. The entire Iron Man family. Like Pepper, Rhodey, and Peter. Because I'm saying Peter's part of the Iron Man family because of the Iron Spider suit and everything that Peter and Tony went through in Homecoming and Infinity War. So yeah, Tony then says, like, this heartfelt speech, which I can't remember, which kind of sucks that I can't remember it, because, man, it's good. Peter then says, "You did it. We won, Mr. Stark." And then Tony, saddest part of the movie, even though like someone died before, like in the middle of the movie, as in Black Widow, and yeah, it's hard to believe this movie series, like, this whole, like, MCU, let alone it being 11 years old, through 22 movies, which I've probably only seen 18 of them, all of the important ones. It began with Tony and with Iron Man 1, or Iron Man. And then having the Avengers, like, arc, because even though there should be, I don't think there is gonna be, like, any more movies with the main title being Avengers. This is like, I don't know if Far From Home's the end of Phase 3 or like the end of, like, or if there's gonna be more of Phase 3. But yeah, that was really good. I mean, I'm gonna talk about the actual end of the movie. I mean, because that did. So the end of the movie was just basically Tony's funeral, and like that he knew going into the time travel thing that it was gonna be risky. So, like he did with the ship at the beginning of Endgame, Tony recorded a message to his daughter and basically mainly to his daughter, and it said like it said like, I know this is risky, so this is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And yeah, so, and like one of the best things was that, I mean, I have seen Iron Man 1, and like, I've seen most of the Iron Man movies, like the first two and like half of the third, and like the fact that like the Thing, they basically had a Viking funeral for him, except for it, whatever they didn't burn anything. The like thing that they did to like remember him was set out the proof that Tony Stark has a heart, like Christmas present thing or birthday, I forget, but they sent that to, because there was this pond, and yeah. So, yeah. Cap, also a big part of the end of the movie. Cap, like, probably a couple hours after they, like, remembered Tony, or had the funeral for Tony, he went and took everything, like the Infinity Stones, back to where they were, like, in the past, and also he put Mjolnir back where it was in Asgard. Or he probably just left Mjolnir in Asgard and someone else put it back. But yeah, he didn't end up returning. And then, like, the Falcon and Bucky see a figure, like, sitting on a log, staring out into a lake, and shocker, it's Cap. He then proceeds to, like, he gives, I originally thought, and this is, like, one of the parts of the movie that I was spoiled on, like, I saw something on Facebook, and it said that Falcon gets, wait, no, I saw it on YouTube, yeah, Dangerous Place, and, yeah, so, it was like Falcon gets, like, Cap gives Falcon the Captain America shield, And yeah, so yeah, he does. The amazing thing was that he gave him the original, like, OG first Avenger, like, Captain America shield. So yeah, that was originally going out of the movie, or going into the movie, before I saw the spoiler. I thought that Bucky was gonna get it, because, yeah. But no, it was, and there was no end credit scenes. There was, like, a soundbite. The, like, final scene was him with, or Cap dancing with Peggy in 40 or 50. Yeah, the one. So there wasn't an end credit scene, but there was, like, a soundbite of either. My brother said it was, like, said it sounded like sharpening claws. It sounded like it was, like, metal, like a blacksmith almost. But yeah, that concludes my review of Endgame. I give it a 10 out of. Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Bye. If you enjoyed the video, I'll be doing more of these, like, on, like, games. And I'm gonna do one on Doom Patrol. I just haven't seen all of Season 1 of Doom Patrol yet. So,